And it's a good evening and welcome here to Monza in Italy. And with me here in the commentary booth again, I have Janneman Prius and Stephen Koenig. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, everybody. Who's going to take the championship? We are here quickly.
Good evening, Doe. Good evening, everybody. Last race of the season. Who's going to take the championship? We are here in Italy at Monza at the Temple of Speed.
Buonasera, care fani colleghi. Welcome to the home of the Prancing Horse, the Raging Bull, and the Trident. And as you said, last race on the calendar for our GT3 Pro Series. And I've got to say, really looking forward to seeing who's going to climb this ladder. We've seen a bit of a challenging time with teammates currently leading out with it, the likes of Cody Sherritt and Kieran Patterson. But all gloves come off tonight as it's who takes the win for the championship. Now, it's all about love and war between them, and let's see what they'll be able to do. But not too far behind, we've got Daniel Rowe in third place, who's been a bit of a, well, I'm going to say it, the dark horse. Joined in late and is set to try and hurt the PWSR championship hopes tonight.
And exactly, Morgan McCall in fourth place. You know, he's been on a charge of late also during the last couple of races. So always there and thereabouts. So look out for him as well.
And we've also got Ryan Ottens. Got to just chuck that in.
Picking in.
There we go. But Bernard Barkhuizen following suit in P6, P7, Johan Bego Krobler, and PA Christopher Radloff, Conrad Volsking, and Jan LaRue in P10 is a very interesting turn of events. But now we turn our attention to who is going to be starting where. As Daniel Rowe leading it first out, right behind him Cody Sherritt, followed by Kieran Patterson, Van der Merwe lying in fourth place, Hannes van Wyk in fifth, Rayner currently in sixth place, Conrad Volsking in seventh, Jason McGregor in eighth place, ninth is Bego Krobler, and 10 Jean LaRue. But a lot of drivers unable to arrive due to power outages here in South Africa. And also, one thing that the guys are talking about is you can still score points if you completed 75% of tonight's race. So a little bit of a change there where even if you drop out due to a power failure, you have a chance to maximize your points. So where that throws a spanner in the works for some, we'll have to see.
I think there might be one or two guys taking a chance and, see if they can get into that 75% bracket before their load shedding kicks in, if they don't have, any backup systems running. So the field is a little bit smaller tonight. But, gentlemen, basically the top 15 separated by a second.
And that's it. All on the cards. And Doe, I'm going to chuck it out there. Two teammates fighting for a championship.
Steven,
You're currently sitting behind your third place, man.
Team,
do you go gloves off and go racing? Or are you going to go fighting?
Final race.
That's kind of my question I'm putting to everyone here.
At this stage anymore. If it's tight enough, close enough, to me, it's may the best man win.
But don't you guys think there will be some element of teamwork involved between Sherritt and Patterson to try and keep Daniel Rowe behind the both of them? Because they can't let him get away.
Oh, now this is where it gets a bit interesting because you can play a team strategy, but at your own loss, which we've seen. Soon as teammates start playing with one another, start racing one another, they can sacrifice what they are planning to do. And unfortunately, that can impact their championship hopes. So the guys have to bear that in mind, that their championships hopes can be dashed by one another. So as much as you want to keep one person behind, like the likes of Daniel Rowe, you're going to end up having to duke it out with your teammate. But do not count out the rest of the grid for pulling a last-ditch maneuver to climb their way up through the championship. Remember, first, second, and third, yes, you want to be there. But if you could get into that top 5, it's a good starting point moving on to next season. You can already start showing your teeth to everyone, and also possibly have other teams looking at you and going, all right, we want to have you on board. That's my take on it.
Most certainly. Whoever wins the race tonight has got the advantage going into the off season for next season. But in my opinion, if I was Kieran and Cody, I would say, right, first things first, let's try to get into positions 1s and 2, whoever that might be, and then let's start duking it out. But that's mission number 1. We can't be sitting in second and third place and let Daniel run away with it at the front. So turn 1, I think it's going to be interesting.
Well, going on the race last night, a lot of people actually had no problem with turn 1. The guys didn't have any issues with taking dives. Everyone kept very clean, and they're hoping to do exactly the same heading into this race. But last race of the season, you do get the jitters, you do get the excitement kicking in, and unfortunately, it can hurt going forward. So you've got to try and calm yourself down. We've all been there where it's coming to the end of the season. It's all going to turn into one big fight. But who's actually going to be able to calm themselves down to get themselves sorted out? But also remember, the circuit isn't blazingly warm. It isn't exactly ideal. It's a little bit overcast. It's a little bit cooler. Guys have to put a little bit more work into their tires to move forward.
No, I agree with you. But the one thing I would like to see or look forward to see is how hard Cody's going to try and get in front of Daniel going into turn 1. And that's why I'm saying I think turn 1 is going to get interesting.
What are they going to do? Now the question is, you're going to push so hard to get in front of Cody, or get ahead of Daniel, but they are forgetting about the rest of the field, and also with slowing it or trying to get past and focusing on one person, you might also leave your teammate to get swallowed up by the rest of the field if you drop them dead. So that's one to keep an eye out for. Rayner in 4th place has showed some tremendous pace throughout the season and can fight it up with the big dogs, along with Van der Merwe, Hannes van Veek, Volstink, we've got McGregor, we've got LaRue, we've got Bago Krobler. All these guys have pushed to the top once upon a time as the season has gone forward. So I don't count them out. And here at Monza, it tends to throw in a little bit of a curveball for everyone. But taking a look, we do have one person who's opting to start from the pit lane. So avoiding the carnage, but stuffing up their performance in terms of getting into turn 1 with warmer tires and warmer brakes, or wasn't fast enough to climb in the car before the lights went green. Kind of an airy one there to play.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's serving a penalty starting from the pit lane.
All right.
I think
That's
the
Pelé.
No, I don't think it was Pelé.
Oh, Pelé's in the pit, so he might actually be right about that. I'm going to our penalties to see anything, but as they start making their way around Parabolica, let's see what the guys are going to do. Lined up, line astern, ready to go. And actually, Pelé doesn't have a penalty, doesn't have to start from pit lane, so he opted to do that or was late.
Yes.
So
might be late to the party then. So my mistake.
That bleeding the brakes a little bit too close to the race may have affected it slightly. Got to quickly work with the mechanics there and get back out, but lined up, line astern, ready to go for the final time for this season. Season 11 of the Raceface Gt3 Championship Pro Division is about to start. Daniel Rowe leading out in first place. Cody Sherritt in second. Kieran Patterson in third. Rayner in fourth place. Let's see how it's all going to take off. If they get ready underneath the bridge, waiting for the lights. Green, 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 and away they go. Take a look. Daniel Rowe ready. Went and eked out a little bit ahead. No penalty suffered by anyone, so no jump starts there. Turn 1 is going to be the tricky part. Hard on the brakes. You want to go onto the outside. You don't want to be too tight on the inside. We've seen what happened. Reminiscent to Formula 1. Daniel Rowe, middle of the circuit, closing the two teammates up against each other. And,
yeah, there was a parking lot further back there. Sorry, Steve.
But it looks like Jean Leroux suffered the worst of it.
But I would say so far, mission accomplished for Daniel Rowe. He got in turn 1 first, got through that, and I don't want to say it, but so far he's on his way.
So Jean Leroux tries to get in, and contact behind him just twisted him around on the field, and unfortunately a big parking lot there. But I think that was one of the Hybrid Academy cars on the inside that just did a slight nudge to the cars ahead, and unfortunately the concertina effect came into play and caused a bit of rotation. Hopefully not too much damage on cars, but Daniel Rowe up ahead. Pillay out of the pits, but 20 seconds behind Jean Leroux, and has to try and make up that ground. So maybe starting in the pits wasn't the best idea, because you've left this train. You can see weaving across the circuit. Got to be careful. Can't do that. Too many moves into the braking zone. Otherwise, you can be penalized for it. So, as you can see, slows it down. But it looks like Sherritt able to just close him through Parabolica a little bit more settled. Despite losing that toe, he was able to keep it going. Now, back onto the main straight. You can see first move to the side. Is there going to be a second move? Yep, there we go. There's your second move. Wait for the third. Can't do it. Sherritt lines himself up. Got better straight line than that Audi. The Porsche tries to move over to close it on him. Unfortunately, couldn't make it happen. And I think compromised his line ever so slightly. But Kieran Patterson getting yeeted off into the side there, and is allowing the rest of the cars to come through as the field start making their way around. Lots of interesting maneuvers of who's got more aero for straight lines pace and who's got more aero to try and slow them down through the corners. Now it comes on to setups that can define a race and see how they can help you. We know that the Porsche hasn't got as much aero to try and help it through the corners, but doesn't seem to have the straight line pace that is needed to keep the likes of the Audi at bay for long. So he's got to play it smart here. Daniel Rowe has to think, what do I need to do to try and hold Sherritt back? Sherritt going and saying, right, let's play, let's push each other, and let's start moving up. Remember, Sherritt is fighting for first place in the championship. Kieran is second. Daniel Rowe is third. So if Sherritt can stay where he is or get higher, he has won the championship hands down. No one can touch him. But he cannot afford to fall anywhere back beyond third place.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at this stage, Kieran is sitting in fifth place, so he didn't have a too happy first couple of laps. But, Monza, one of those places where the toe is absolutely monstrous. I mean, if you get in that toe behind the car in front of you, it can absolutely slingshot you past the car.
There we go, as we take a look on board with Cody Sherritt in the toe.
Oh, he's gaining.
Daniel Rowe goes and closes off that inside line and moves back to center line. I think that's going to be one to keep an eye out for.
Side by side coming out of that corner. Now it's going to be a drag race to the second chicane.
We know that the Audi has the legs.
Side by side through the Curve Grande. And now Cody's going to have the inside line as they approach the second chicane.
We should have a re-look at that.
That's it. But take a look. Rayner right behind, not giving an inch.
Was there movement into that braking zone?
Straight lines the chicane. That's the chicane where we saw that accident with the Aston Martin. Can't remember, what championship it was.
It is there. Yep.
Just readjusting someone's rearview mirror. Hey, bud, it looks like it's a bit too in or too far out. Let me help you a bit there. It is close to call. Oh, he did move across. No contact, though, but enough to unsettle the likes of Daniel Rowe. Then he got compromised, which allowed the likes of Runner to get by. So Reina very happy with that. He got by. Sorry, that's Van der Merwe that got by. Reina's sitting behind him. So very interesting to see how now that little move has compromised him and he's starting to trail down a little bit further each time.
It looks like
Daniel
made a
Rowe,
mistake
though,
after
can't
that,
be rather happy with that little bit of a move and is now focusing on a hard charge. But I think that he might have got a bit of a warning for that.
Well, it's worked out quite nicely for him because he's pulled out a bit of a gap now, and Sherritt's dropped back to third, right into the pack. So I don't think he's complaining anymore.
Reina trying on the inside, beautiful move though. Unfortunately, not able to make it stick. You can see that quick swap over, but lying in fourth place, Kieran Patterson tried hanging in the toe, but wasn't able to. Jason McGregor though. Right behind Kieran Patterson. So Kieran's not having a fun time at this circuit. He's trailing a bit further down than expected.
If there was live tuning here,
maybe his car not quite set up. Oh, once again, it looks like Cody going for a knock. I think I got to be a bit cautious with that. Keep doing that.
Side by side through Lesmo. Oh, both running wide.
Yeah, but as you said, side by side through Lesmo, very difficult to do, and unfortunately both going onto the dirt. I think a little bit too aggressive off the bat, needs to try and calm down and get going once again. But we'll have to keep an eye on it. Kieran now trying to fight off the likes of Jason McGregor right behind him. Reina in 6th place has still got the fastest lap of the race. I just want to put that out there. 6th currently has the fastest lap of the race. And see how tightly packed the field is. Yes, we've had the likes of Pillay, who had a bit of a rough start. Justin Lotus, he lost it a little bit further back. There was a yellow flag out in Parabolica. He was able to get it going once again. Volsking, he was unfortunately part of the carnage at the start. So a lot of guys, there is some guys that have fallen off, but not many. Jason McGregor going into turn 1, looking to go side by side. Kieran Patterson trying to go later on the brakes. Will the mighty BMW be able to do it side by side? Kieran squeezes him as much as possible, but McGregor did not yield too much there and has now allowed Reina to join the party. Now Reina looking to try and make his way around. We know that Audi does have a bit of straight line pace. Maybe he can keep it going. McGregor going to the center of the circuit saying no thank you. And take a look, Reina really fighting hard. Kieran Patterson checking in his rearview mirrors as sees not one but two cars come bailing into view. And whoa, it looks like Christopher Radloff also deciding he's going to have a taste of the sausage curbs. Just a nibble, just a little bit of a tip there.
Just find out how it feels. Yeah, and I think Kieran is hoping that Reina can keep McGregor busy for a while, just so that he can try and open up a bit of a gap to go, after Sherritt again.
It's going to be a bit of a tall ask. I think the guys are properly slugging it out left and right, trying to figure out where's going to be the best way to get by. And you can see how hard Gideon Reina is pushing to try and move up. And now Gideon is also involved in the championship. He's in that top 10. And actually, no, he's not in the top 10 in our pro standings, but is hoping to make an impact to get into there. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. A couple of races have put him down, but just sitting out of the top 10, he now has a chance to get into it with this performance. Take a look. Jason McGregor, though, not giving up. He's looking side by side once again, taking that outside line. Kieran trying to move across. Oh. Yeah, oh my heavens. It looked like a bit of Kieran trying to come to the center of the circuit, and
Where's the Audi in the
That
background?
Audi moved.
I'm not 100% sure, but also completely lost it. So you take a look. McGregor lining up behind, line astern, looks to the inside, doesn't get that, goes to the outside, holding a straight line. I'm just watching that gap though, and oh, that's Kieran that moved ever so slightly onto the rear wheels of Jason McGregor. Unfortunately, both taking a monster of a knock. And there's the Audi that you said. I think that was Kieran Patterson. Yeah, Kieran Patterson trying to get himself back on circuit, but both those cars must be sustaining some damage that's not going to help their chances here.
Yeah,
and,
so the Audi that I saw carrying on through the chicane was then actually Sherritt, and Kieran was the one left in the wall.
So interesting stuff. And one person that's going to be smiling with that is Van der Merwe, currently in second place and trotting along. He's chasing down the likes of Daniel Rowe. Cody Sherritt in third place, trying to move his way up. Christian Venter a little bit further down. He's in seventh place, looking to try and make his way up. But a very, very interesting race in the first, what are we going into the first about 12 minutes of the race, and it's already changed on its head hugely.
I would say this championship has now been turned fully on its head. I mean, we've got Sherritt sitting in third. His closest championship rival is Kieran Patterson. And it looks like Patterson is in the pits, so that's going to hurt him even more.
That's it. So we'll have to keep an eye on the battle, and there we go. Kieran pulling into the pits. Remember, they've got 2 mandatory stops, so if he can use this as one of these mandatory stops just to get it sorted and get back out there,
cool,
it's going to be his best bet. Oh, and that looks to be McGregor.
That's McGregor.
He's having a difficult time trying to get that car up and going.
He's just trying to get it back to the pits.
And contact again. Yeah, a bit of roughhousing there, and one of the Aston Martins also just straight lining it. So a bit of a interesting race there, but I think they need to tone it down a little bit. Otherwise, our stewards are going to be rather busy over this weekend for the final round.
Yeah. Steven said this stage they're messing up somebody's weekend. They're going to be busy.
That's it. So it's going to be a very, very interesting battle. But take a look. Daniel Rowe losing out a lot of time. That's allowed Van der Merwe to get right onto the back of him. And we haven't seen Daniel Rowe struggle this much with the rest of his competitors. But Van der Merwe looking on a massive charge at this point. Got a fire underneath him and is looking to try and cruise past the likes of Daniel Rowe. Not close enough going into turn 1. Going to have to keep it clean. Work your way through. Try keeping that toe as much as possible. Let Daniel Rowe do all the hard work. But Cody Sherritt in third place is putting in the fastest lap of the race. I think he has a chance of catching up to this bunch.
Now, gents, I just want to find out something because
I'm not too sure, actually, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I haven't been on this in 4 months either, to be quite honest.
In my ACC days, the Porsche wasn't the fastest
still
thing
in a straight line.
Has that changed now, or is that still very much the case, though?
It likes the twisties, and the corners that are tight. You have to get good acceleration out of it, etc. Although, I mean, looking at Daniel Rowe, you must be running a very low downforce setup, I think, to be able to keep that car in front of the Audi. So, yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still, I know the Audi is in a tow, but, still he's making some inroads into that Porsche on the straights, and at this stage, Daniel is doing an excellent job staying in front of that Audi. He just has the legs at the end of the straight to stay in front.
Yeah. Pretty
So
sure
it
it's
looks
pulling
like we've
closer to
lost
the
Mr.
two of these
Koenig.
guys
I
here
know
as well
he's
again.
battling with load shedding, so we hope we can hope we can welcome him back. He did mention that will have to switch over at some point. I think. Well, that's what's going to happen inevitably. While Daniel and Van der Merwe is battling it out, that will allow Sherritt to move up to them, and if he can make a pass on both of them, that's going to do his championship standings a world of good, especially with Kieran out of the picture
So
at
far,
this
some
stage.
really spicy racing.
I won't count
tonight.
Kieran out
Actually, quite a pleasure
yet,
to be watching
but
it. It's interesting racing.
at this stage he is some way behind, and as we see Sherritt right on the back of Van der Merwe as they go through that first chicane. So this is very much now a three-way battle. Yeah, it's definitely spicy. Sometimes a bit too close, but I think this battle, the three-way battle we're seeing now, this is going to get close. I mean, we're seeing Daniel struggling to keep in front of Van der Merwe as Van der Merwe has a look on the inside again. Not quite close enough at this spot, but let's see as they run down to Parabolica. Maybe he'll have another look on the inside, and Sherritt is sitting behind them, ready to pounce. Yeah, good evening, Stephen.
After ISCOM tried doing the hashtag cancel.
Did you have a subscription cancel?
Yeah, just a little bit, just a bit of a change up there, but the race has definitely progressed a little bit more as Cody Sherritt is caught right onto the back of Van der Merwe. Daniel Rowe really battling to hold back the likes of Van der Merwe. Looks to the outside, and this is going to get very tricky. Hard under braking, Daniel Rowe trying everything he can, side by side, rubbing paint, switching paint, trying to change each other's artwork at this point.
Oh! I think Daniel touched the grass.
These three are now having a proper battle, and I almost want to sit back and wait for the three wide.
Well, take a look. Cody now trying to get it away, get ahead.
Oh, another accident. That's one of the last things you want to do is be on the grass at the point where you hit the brakes.
And you will see you're redacted. I think everyone can finish that sentence. As you take a look, Daniel Rowe trying to go to the middle of the circuit, goes and dives across, actually moves over yet again, and contact between the two. Daniel Rowe actually coming across the nose of Sherritt, and he was able to keep it out the wall, but Sherritt unfortunately losing out a bit of time there. Daniel Rowe fighting so hard to hold that position. Unfortunately, it's starting to hurt both of them now, and considering they're fighting for the championship, they got to tone it down a little bit, otherwise they will get the wrath of the stewards. As we know, championships towards the end, this is where it gets looked into quite severely by our stewards. They take every race quite severely, seeing what happens. But the end of a championship, where it's the decider, and with everything that's on the line for these guys, they have got prizes for coming in first, second, and third. They don't want to lose out this opportunity. They've got to keep the momentum up and try and get themselves all the way through. But if you suffer the wrath of the stewards, well, it can just make a bit of a bad day for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those cases. You think you've done enough, to finish in the position that you must finish, and then the last thing you would want is the steward to say to you, you're not in that position anymore. Sorry, mate. I'm giving you an unfortunate penalty here. You're moving down the field a bit.
That's it. We saw a little bit of Bego Krobler trying to keep into the toe. Sherritt now catching back up to Daniel Rowe, and this is just helping Van der Merwe, because the more he sticks ahead of these two that are having a slugfest in front of him, the better his opportunity to just break away from them, break them out of the tow, and focus on his own race. He doesn't have to stress about these because you've got two extremely talented sim racers, but at the same time, two extremely aggressive sim racers in terms of driving styles, going head to head with one another, which unfortunately can compromise the race. So they've got to be so careful with it. I think at this point, it's in both their best interest to just tone it down, slow it down a little bit and say, right, guys, let's focus on the end goal here. We still have 59 minutes. We're slugging it out. One of us if we carry on this way, is going to land up in a wall. And we saw exactly what can happen. I mean, the likes of Kieran Patterson, his race is pretty much done and dusted unless he pulls a rabbit out of the hat to help his championship. He has to get into at least the top 10 to keep his, try and move in the championship or maintain his position. At the moment, he's sitting in 15th and battling to try and make up the ground.
Yeah. Look, he's already done the one pit stop, so that, might come, so the race might come back to him a bit later. But while you were away, me and Doe were having the discussion that at this stage, Kieran is out of it, but he might come back later. Now, between, Sherritt and Rowe, as you said, they both got extremely aggressive driving styles. It's going to be a case of who's going to budge first, but, between the two of these, nobody might budge first, and that's where you mentioned where a race can be ruined. Also, the other thing we were discussing earlier on is it does seem that the Porsche is struggling a bit in a straight line, but Daniel doing an extremely good job keeping in front of the guys, but they definitely have the legs on him. I know they are in his toe, but it very much seems like they have the legs on him in a straight line. As Sherritt is going to, I think Sherritt's going to have another look, very soon. I think he's starting to line him up for that first chicane to make the move on Daniel Rowe.
Yeah, unfortunately, the likes of the Porsche, after its latest BOP, has not helped it in terms of straight line pace. We saw it at Kyalami, where unfortunately it didn't have the straight line pace. It definitely had the cornering on the rest of the field, but here at Monza, it's all about just flattening that wing out just enough to take a look.
Looking on the inside. Oof, he made it stick there.
Oh, that was a proper late braking maneuver, and I'm sure that pedal went to the floor and further to try and stop the car. But take a look a little bit further down. Fastest lap time done by Eric Kirstein in 16th place. So Kirstein, who's out of the top 10, putting in the fastest time of the race. Maybe because he's in a little bit more clear air compared to our drivers up ahead. A little bit further back, Bego Krobler trying to make up some ground. He's also pulled some interesting maneuvers through the race. Christian Fenter doing also a brilliant job of keeping it all together. He's trying everything he can to keep on moving up, and glad to see that Fenter going and progressing from Pro-Am into Pro and still starting strong.
Yeah, it's always good to see the guys progressing through the ranks, and now running in 7th position. And you can see he's really pushing hard. We saw him, coming out of the first Lesmo, taking a bit of grass with him, so he's doing a bit of rally driving as well. Trying his utmost best to get past Meyer and move up, possibly trying for that top 5 tonight.
That's it. And the more and more they push these cars early on the race, remember, tire degradation is a factor here. A simple looking circuit like Monza can actually be a detriment to your tires. It's also a very abrasive surface that can hammer your tires. You're doing a lot of hard braking and quick corner change of direction. So you're going and forcing those tires to have an abnormal graining in some areas, which guys have to take that into their mind of how much am I wearing my tires out, especially if you're going to keep the same set of tires on throughout the race. You're going to try and keep those things alive. that where you're stopping is where you need to stop. Otherwise, as tires start to degrade, you're going to have to move your braking marker back 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters. And as we know, when you start moving your brake marker further and further back, means it gives more opportunity for guys to start getting by you a little bit quicker.
Yeah, especially Monza, as you said, it looks simple, but, the section they're going through now, the Lesmo section 1 and 2, left front, and as well, last corner, the Parabolica, also the left front, taking quite a bit of a beating. So, that's something they will have to watch out for later on in the race.
And for the history of Monza, it actually was an oval at one point, which is still, bits of the oval still exist at the circuit, so you can go and actually see with the old oval. A little bit more degraded, a bit more worn out and a bit more destroyed, but you can go and still see it. You could still go see the original, original oval of Monza, which Parabolica actually follows it round.
Yes.
But take a look at Fenter still pushing hard, trying to go for that inside line. Can he make it stick? Really trying to get on the power earlier. Mayer does have a little bit more of a straight line going on to the main straight, moving across. Guys, you don't have to adjust each other's mirrors the whole time. It can end in sadness going into turn 1. Oh, fingers crossed who's going to hit the brakes first. And it looks like Fenter makes it stick, but has to go and understeer a little bit. Mayer gets caught up. Bago catches right up onto the back of Mayer. But you could see a little bit of understeer coming from the port. So that is the front tires starting to feel the pain, as we can say.
Yeah, and that's pulling moves like that where you understeer, as we see Mayer, coming under a bit of pressure from Krobler. But understeering is going to hurt those tires even more.
Let's keep an eye on it. They go hunting him down, trying to look where to get by. Drops a wheel on the dirt, but still manages to keep it together. Very tricky. Lesmo 1, you put a wheel on the dirt that can throw you around in 2 seconds flat. Even though it's straight, you're coming out of the corner. Your car is not completely straight as yet. You've got a slight angle to it. Your steering is at a slight angle, about 9 degrees. Let's put it that way, about 9-10 degrees. So all it takes is the rear tire to slip just enough and everything else to just grip, that you suddenly, that 9 degrees turns into a 90 degrees, and that wall is staring right back at you with a big magnet on it saying, come, I love to have car parts. We've seen it happen throughout the year. We've seen it happen in different race series. It doesn't matter whether you're racing in an LMP prototype or you're racing in an MX-5. There's a spare shop right there on the corner, I bet you, here in Italy.
Yeah, and if there's not a spare shops, some guys just park their cars there and offer up their spares, gearboxes and that type of things after Lesmo 1.
Souvenirs are sold here. Fresh off the GT3 car that has pasted itself on a wall.
Something you mentioned earlier, the oval. It's actually something we had a bit of downtime this afternoon, and I decided just for a little bit of fun, I did a couple of laps on the combined track of Monza. That includes the oval. They actually use the oval as part of the track then. So you've got the full Monza circuit and then the oval as well that you need to do, kind of on an alternating lap. We have Krobler looking on the inside. That's brave, going side by side through there. Let's see if he can make this move stick. A little bit of contact there, but he made it stick. Now I think Mayer's going to have to come back at him, otherwise Krobler's going to run away with this.
So GT3 championship. So we call this a GT3 championship, but it's turning into a DTM championship at this point. We're going more than happy to. That's it. So the guys are pushing themselves a little bit harder than they were in the season. Maybe the factor of it's the last race coming into play and starting to lean on them a little bit. Sorry to break off your train of thought there, gentlemen. Carry on about the combined circuit.
No, it's fine. It's just so I think it was Kabasa that braked himself a little bit there
before the last turn.
Sounds actually quite fun.
No, that's all that I wanted to say. It's kind of an interesting concept. They split the pit straight into two. So on the one lap you go on the oval, and on the next lap, basically you do the full Monza circuit before you go back on the oval again.
Oh,
it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
Make sure you got the aero that works.
Yeah, it's the oval part is pretty much flat out. But the racing, Stephen, you mentioned DTM, you mentioned touring car. It reminds me of Doe's teammate.
Mr.
That me and him
Hancock.
can tend to race GT3 cars like touring cars around tracks.
That's very true.
Yes, your teammate. I've got to say
Hancock's Award.
The Hancock's Award.
Well, DTM was actually had a replacement of the usual DTM cars. They got too expensive. They went and came for the customer cars of GT3s. So GT3 cars that you're currently seeing here are actually the same cars that you can race in DTM. You can race it in the World Endurance League. You can race it in the IMSA Championships. So GT3 has become a lot more accessible and a bit more customer orientated, a bit more customer friendly. But then you do see like the older cars, such as we do have the Nissan here and the Honda, but we will in later time start seeing the newer cars coming. We've already seen the new Evos come in with the new Mercedes, the new Audi, the new Ferrari. There is a brand new Ferrari that's going to be entering GT3 soon, and we'll maybe see it joining us on the ACC servers soon. But also, we cannot forget, which I know a lot of these drivers are looking forward to, which is the new Ford Mustang GT3 that's going to be set to race in 2023-2024.
Yeah, it sounds like my kind of car with that big V8 up front. It remains to be seen when we're going to see them in ACC, but I'm pretty much sure if they're going to, start racing those type of cars, in the World Endurance and those type of things, they will make their way eventually to ACC as well.
That's it. And now, guys, final race of the season. The guys are pushing hard. They're trying to make it all impact here. Do you think a lot of these drivers are starting to think of their choices for next season, of what they're going to do? Or are they rather just trying to survive here at Monza and not make a mistake?
I sometimes start having a look at next season, but for me personally, in ACC, I very rarely changed my car throughout the year because you're waiting for the big update come next year. Sometimes I even made my car choices, very late into the year. Like, when the BMW came out, I switched to the BMW. I had some experience in the BMW and other sims where it was released before ACC, so I was hoping it was the same characteristics that it had in the other sims. But Steve, while we're talking, I just want to mention something. I see Daniel Rowe has slipped to 4th place now, and he hasn't made a pit stop. He's yet to make his 2 pit stops.
I wonder if maybe. So I wonder if Daniel Rowe is suffering some form of damage that he's incurred with the off-track excursions. We know that those sausage curbs, especially around Monza, are very infamous for damaging GT3 cars. We saw an Aston Martin get sideways going through, I forgot the name of the corner, I think it's Ascari, and had its door ripped off. But those same type of sausage curbs are a little bit going towards, just before Lesmo 1, which Daniel Rowe's been taking some rather far excursions off. So maybe a bit of light damage has happened to the front of that Porsche, making it a little bit less stable through the corners. And unfortunately, starting to roll him back through the field. But for Cody Sherritt, this is precisely what he wants to be. If he can finish up in first place, there is no question he takes the championship ahead of his teammate and ahead of Daniel Rowe and ahead of the Raceface. I mean, that after a season that has been nose-to-tail racing, what better way to end it than with an absolutely dominating lead and a dominating point lead over the rest of the field.
Yes, as with this stage, we see Kieran is still sitting there in 15th place. So even though he's done one pit stop, he's not really made any moves, to come back up the field as yet.
I think he's a bit stuck. I think he's in a bit of a train at this point, and as we see the field starting to open up a little bit where guys are in each other's toe but not close enough to go on the attack yet, I think that's where all the drivers are facing. They are in each other's toe. They got enough of a pull and got enough pull from ahead and enough pull from behind that there's a bit of a spacing between them, and this is where you got to start trying to manage your fuel and tires. Try and plan out where your second pit stop's going to be. But I see Conrad Volsking is down in 17th place, has actually completed all his pit stops for the race. So he's hoping to just climb his way through to the top.
Mayo taking back that
with
position
a
from,
don't need a
Krobler.
pit anymore strategy.
So,
there goes
again,
Krobler looking to go side by side. He's trying his luck, sweeps across, just a little bit of a touch on Mayo, just saying, hey buddy, I'm here, just to let you know. But keeping it all clean.
Yeah, and not to forget, we are halfway through the race, and as things stand now, it looks like the top 13 still needs to make a pit stop. So they're going to leave it out quite late again, I think. Or should I say question?
Do you want 3 tires or 4? That's a better question.
4 is always better on these cars. I haven't seen a Trike GT3 car yet.
Well, have to start thinking about when are they going to change tires, when are they going to put fuel in, especially running it late. We've seen it's a strategy that both works, but if it doesn't work, it fails extremely badly. It doesn't leave any room for error. So the guys have to weigh that up. They have to weigh up the cost. And remember, Monza has this lovely pit lane where you come out on the inside going into turn 1, and you have to bear in mind you've got cars barreling down at you about 300 plus kilometers an hour. They're looking to try and go for that apex, which unfortunately you're going to be parking on.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the pit exit at Monza looks simple, and it's not. I've had my fair share of accidents, at that first chicane from cars coming out the pits and trying to get there first, or not realizing that you are barreling down at them at 280 odd kilometers an hour.
Taking a look at Christopher Radloff as he goes under braking, that knows the BM a little bit unsettled as it's just skating underneath him, trying to slow it down. So he's really having to work hard to catch up to Jean Leroux in the very lonely McLaren in the field, but a McLaren that has, I think stolen the hearts of many with some unique movements, and also managed to get into first place without even pitting and continue to do so right until the end, where he had to be holding a rag over it.
Ran wide coming out of the chicane, and that's going to hurt his drive down to Parabolica. It's going to cover the inside line and just says no. Oh, and have a little bit of a nudge from the BMW. Oh, and that was well held.
Radloff just giving him a bit of an eager push there, and a couple of cars into the pits, and one of them on the dirt doesn't bode well in terms of, are you trying to slow the car down, or was that car ahead of you just a little bit too slow and you were coming at a rapid pace? Christian Venter being one of the cars that pulled into the pits, getting his stop done and dusted. Remember, they got a mandatory of 2 pit stops, ladies and gentlemen, they have to do. There's no getting around it. If you fail to do those pit stops, you will suffer a terrible, terrible penalty, which will throw you down the field quite severely.
Yeah, I see we just lost somebody. I see we're down to 18 cars now. I wasn't Ours wasn't quite quick enough to see who disappeared there, but I see we just dropped down to 18 cars.
Now the external factor comes in. Welcome to lights out racing, where you're either going to keep going or you're playing Russian roulette with the power system. So the guys are not only racing as hard as they can now to try and complete the race, they're also keeping a very close eye on things with the external powers, whether they're using UPSs, inverters, or good old Jennies. But some not having that have to try and make up as many places as they can to hit that 75% mark in the race to be able to score something at least for the admin to take a look at. So the guys are really having to try and figure out what's going to be the best move. But I see the likes of Cody Sherritt is in the pits, and Mayer deciding he's going to head into the pits at a beautiful 50 kilometers an hour. And as we all know, 50 kilometers an hour is such a joy to have. You know, it gives you enough time to read the newspaper right until the funny pages, and then you only get to your pit box.
Steve, you were talking about, no lights racing or lights out racing. One of the issues we're sitting with in our area is even though I might not have load shedding, but one of the adjoining areas where I live has load shedding, it still does play around with the internet connections every now and again. I've had disconnects from races, due to that type of thing. So even though you're not having load shedding, it is still a possibility in my parts of the world that I might suffer a disconnect.
I can rest assured. I'm currently singing "Hello Darkness, My Old Friend." Oh, and take a look at Sherritt coming up, but it looks like the little Honda of that. Who was in that little Honda? That is Volkswagen, who dived to the inside, outbraked himself. He's also a lap down, decides that he's just going to yield to the blue flag and remove himself off the racing line. I don't think that was intentionally, but didn't suffer too much damage there or too much slowdown that he's able to keep up his charge.
Yeah,
but Sherritt is on a hard push to try and climb up through the field because Daniel Rowe's lying in third place and Kieran Patterson is one position down from him.
Yeah, this race is not over yet. I mean, Kieran is just behind Sherritt, and those are basically the two championship contenders, at this stage. Daniel Rowe, I won't say it's out of it, but he has yet to stop, and we'll have to see where Daniel falters back in after he's done his stop. But the two championship contenders, back at each other again.
I'll just take a look on our map. Quite a few cars opting to head into the pits and get themselves sorted. And as you can see, Christopher Radloff is in there. We've got Eric Hustain. He decided to go into the pits. So a couple of guys, 37 mark is with a pit time for them. And they're hoping to try and claw their way back up through the field. So keep a very, very close eye when the guys start getting towards the very, very end of this race.
Yeah, just something interesting, we've seen Sherritt, Kieran Patterson has done his pit stop, but they are by no means first of the first stoppers. I mean, at this stage, we've got Ryan Ottens running in 9th that has already also included his first pit stop. So Sherritt, Patterson by no means net first and second.
It's all still very close. Van der Merwe, though, on a hard charge in first place, starting to put more and more time between himself and the likes of Daniel Rowe, and actually doing a brilliant job. We haven't spoken a lot about Van der Merwe this season. He's been always sitting and looming, waiting for an opportunity to get round. Had some unfortunate times, but Monza seems to be his circuit. It's not his Achilles heels at this point. As you can see how much debris is left on the circuit from people missing or unfortunately having accidents into turn one. Quite a messy little part of the circuit and can throw you off ever so slightly.
Yes, it can. Somebody has the polystyrene looks a bit like confetti there. That's what I want to say. And yes, it can put you off because you do tend to catch it out of the corner of your eye, or when it's closer to a racing line. There's always that possibility or that instinct that you want to react to something lying there. It's not always something you can drive through in like it is in this case, but the instinct or the reflexes tend to kick in as we see Daniel Rowe running wide there. He's really pushing hard at this stage.
I was just taking looks. Also, Sujin Pillay up into 8th place. Now, you guys would remember that Sujin Pillay didn't make the pace lap. He started 20 seconds back, handicapped to the rest of the field. He's moved his way up quite fantastically, I've got to say. Hats off to him. And well done on a phenomenal drive. He's up into 13th place after a pit stop. I mean, one person that I've got to say, keep an eye on. The future is looking bright for the young gentleman.
Yeah, I mean, this last race of the season is also a race where you can, as I said, hit the ground running for next season. So, it's definitely, you can leave a lasting impression for next season.
Definitely earning his seat at the Hybrid Academy, but take a look, Van der Merwe in the pits. He's now dropped down to 2nd place, so that has allowed Renner to get ahead. Daniel Rowe still hasn't overtaken him as yet, so Daniel Rowe in 3rd place, still to try and retake that 2nd place, and I think he's going to be able to do it shortly, but not if it shows you how much of a gap between them. There we go, Daniel Rowe just coming by and getting ahead of Van der Merwe. So Daniel Rowe really was a little bit further behind than planned, but now Van der Merwe is starting to fall down that ladder as Van Beek gets by into 3rd place. But 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th,
thanks, Snapper there.
and 5th place have yet to do a pit stop. Yeah, that was one of the BMs that unfortunately got twisted around. And Radloff trying to get going once again. Oh!
Ticket bonnet.
Yeah, it looks very second-hand. He's going to struggle to get that back to the pits.
Oh, yeah, hopefully they got that extended warranty out.
You guys
Extended
know the
warranty
ACC
needed
Cruise,
for
they fixed that car in 5 minutes.
Christopher Radloff's car.
No, that's not a one piece anymore.
It's a bit of an interesting one. I think he has it can buff out, a bit of spit polish, and maybe the clean the bug off the windscreen will help.
5 seconds, not 5 minutes. I'm gonna be a bit critical about ACC on this. I like the damage models, like I had the other evening in Sunday night's race. I unfortunately had to retire the car because the damage sustained on the car was 2/3 of what was left in the race that I had to sit in the pits, and you don't get that in ACC. They fix it within 5 seconds and off you go.
You're forgetting another factor that does get damaged in these accidents. Your talent and your ego. And those, unfortunately, to get fixed take a little bit longer than the usual games, the usual Sims work.
Those two run together. It's normally a lack of talent and too much ego, and that's the problem.
But hopefully that hasn't hurt Christopher Radloff's chances too badly. He was able to limp it back to pits. Thankfully, Ryan Ottenso up into 7th place on a bit of a hard charge at this point. He's trying to move up through the field, but hasn't been the Hybrid Academy's last couple of races, it seems. They've been really sickling with the pace or having unfortunate events like that where just a tank slap has twisted them around. And
an interesting thing I'm looking at.
But Christopher Radloff has completed all his mandatory pit stops. So he's the first of everyone that's completed all their mandatory pit stops. and now
everybody
he needs
ahead
to
of
focus
them
because
all
there
has
is
2 stops.
no recovery if he bashes
does
that
that put
car
them
one more
net
time.
first
So
and
essentially,
second?
at this point, get it sorted.
Well, at this stage we'll have to see where Daniel Rowe falters and Van Wyk and Bago falters back in, and the rest of them. So it's difficult to say at this stage. The person I would like to see pit is Daniel Rowe, because he is the leader at this stage, and if we can see where he falters back in, then we can, make the call on the other guys behind him.
Just take note, Ryan Otten's leaning on the light button just to show that he's going to be coming by on the inside, just as a little bit of a warning, and clean racing between these two. But this is absolutely superb. It's clean, it's fast, it's nose-to-tail racing with minimal amount of contact, and it shows that you can race without rubbing. And what these two are showing right now is a tremendous amount of skill. Lots of to and fro from each other. The two German manufacturers really going head to head here, the BMW and the Audi. Two different, ideas in terms of making the cars. One front engine, one mid engine, to see what's going to work. Is the front engine going to be better over the curbs? Is the mid engine going to be better through the corners? What's going to be the deciding factor? And it's really nice to see that this little battle is starting to happen. But Ryan Ottens needs to be aware, because behind him, he's got the likes of Reina and Sherritt that are trying to make their way through the field as well. So essentially, Ryan Ottens is playing a bit of defense for his third place teammate, Bago Frobler. Team orders maybe come into play here, try and see where the guys are, but not even team orders, just by saying, okay, Sherritt's behind me, go. Or I'm going into Parabolica, Sherritt's on my tail, go. Trying to inform each other where the pit stops, where they can pit stop. This is where having a teammate that can identify where everyone is in the field might not be the fastest, but to identify certain people is actually a strength that any driver can utilize, any team can utilize and specialize in.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because Steve, that's something that me and you also tend to do when we're racing, because as a driver you can't always keep your eyes on deltas and try to work out where the other guys are, and just to have another set of eyes on the track, that can be very valuable to tell you where guys are.
The likes of Ryan Otten's feeling Van der Merwe all over the back of him, just staring in those mirrors. This is where you turn off that center screen, you turn your mirrors down, and you fold your mirrors in just to try and forget about the boogeyman that's behind you, because Van der Merwe is hunting down the back of that BMW, and Reina starting to close that gap down little by little now. Keep an eye on him. He's hanging on the coattails now, but by soonish, by the end of this race, he's going to be holding on to that collar, not the coattails.
Yeah, this race is far from over, and as you said before, it's absolutely beautiful to see the guys that does this type of close racing without any contact, as we see Van der Merwe running a little bit wide there, coming out of Ascari, and that's going to hurt the drive going down to the Parabolica.
That's it, hard on the brakes, and you got to just turn it in. And this is one that's a bit deceiving. You actually have to go quite wide through Parabolica, and it gives you a little bit more of a straight line onto the straight. You don't try and do it. But just taking a look, Otten's in the pits now. That's allowed Van der Merwe to get a little bit more pace. Reina trying to close him down and get into that toe. But oh my heavens, if things couldn't get worse for Kieran Patterson, drive-through penalty has come into play, and I think that's for exceeding track limits. Oh man, that just hurts. Talk about a race going from bad to worse.
Yeah, I don't think Kieran is a happy chap at this stage. If we had in-car mics, unfortunately, we won't be able to play that sound clip for you, or it's just going to be a lot of beeps. But that's essentially having to do one extra pit stop.
Oh, and he still needs to do, pit. I mean, this is catastrophe for his championship. And I mean, though, you're lying second in the championship, and this is what your final race is at the moment. Oh, it's heart-wrenching to actually see it. What do you think's going through his mind at this point? I think that's a little bit too light. I think there's a bit more. Not just one. And take a look who's stomping right behind him. That looks to be Daniel Rowe. Oh man, just to add salt into the wound, it's going to have Daniel Rowe looking to try to go around him, and Daniel Rowe now has got his eyes firmly set. Darren Patterson's going to be having the blue flags. He's going to have to try and keep it together, be predictable in his racing line, and the faster driver has to make a way around. There's no three-corner rule here, but I can throw in this one. He does leave him room, but doesn't have to make it too easy. Remember, he's now can play major support for his teammate a little bit further down, Cody Sherritt. So maybe a bit of, okay, my race is a bit in the box at the moment, but I can try and help my teammate out, and he owes me a chocolate milkshake at the end of it, and make life a little bit difficult for Daniel Rowe. So call it a little bit nasty. You don't block him. You don't make it, you're not trying to stop the person from passing, but you give him a car's width and not a millimeter more through a difficult corner that forces him to slow down quite a bit. That can be a major impact to someone's race. Going down that extra gear from third to second can kill your drive going forward and allow the likes of Cody Sherritt, who's lying in 8th place, Reina, who's lying in 7th place, to all start making their way closer and closer to the likes of Daniel Rowe.
Yeah, as you said, you're not breaking any rules. You're just, leaning on those rules a little bit to call it that way. But, we're still sitting with the top 5 that need to make a pit stop, and we're just under 23 minutes left in this race. So, I can't think that there is too much fuel left in some of these cars, because we've been running now, almost about an hour, and that's about the fuel range on these GT3 cars. Very rarely can go much further than an hour on a tank of fuel.
Unless you change your engine mapping. But by saving fuel, you're losing time. You can lose up to half a second and more if you go really extreme fuel saving and try and push it out. But then you're getting diminishing returns. Your lap times are dropping, you're losing pace. That's allowing guys to catch up, and you're losing time to the car ahead of you. So even by changing your engine mapping slightly, you've got to weigh up your returns. Is it going to be beneficial this late into the race, or to rather just get it done and get going there once again, or try and play with that engine mapping a little bit to get that extra 1 or 2 laps before you pit? Remember, they still have to do those mandatory stops. There's no saying you can avoid that, but maybe if you can eke out an extra lap on someone ahead of you, it can help. And we've seen it been utilized in endurance racing and in sprint racing throughout the seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw it in our race the other evening that we did. If you can play around with that engine mapping, and Stephen, if I wasn't mistaken, you were doing it out throughout the course of a lap where you didn't need the power. You just backed that map down a bit, and where you needed the power, you went to the higher power modes, and it actually didn't hurt your lap time that much, but you were able to eke out 1 or 2 extra lap over the other guys.
It was helpful if you're in a tow, but if you're not in a tow, that's where you start to feel it. So the guys have to, like in this point, Reina who's still within that little bit of a toe, he can back the engine mapping down instead of from high speed to a little bit of fuel saving, not massive. Just drop it down one engine mapping. 2 is a little bit too much. And try and save a little bit of fuel. You know, if you're in a tow, it comes into your benefit. But if you're the likes of Van der Merwe ahead, you can't switch that engine mapping down because you could see the guy constantly hammering you. You're going to have to keep that full power. Maybe going on to certain parts of the circuit, you can try and switch it down. But once again, you start fiddling with buttons, you start fiddling with everything. And if you haven't got your wits with you, same as Doe said earlier in the season, the more you fiddle with, the more that can go wrong and the more that you fall off the circuit. Or you can be basic, have everything set, race it as it is, and just deal with the outcomes that come from it, which is not a bad strategy. It works like a charm. So it depends on your driving style, it depends where you are in the race, and it depends on what you're aiming for. Every single one of these drivers have a target lap time they have to try and keep to. You set your lap time of an average going, okay, I do a 1:47. That is my lap time. I'm allowing a deviation of half a second up or half a second down. That's because I know where my fueling is going to be at that point.
Yeah.
But the more that you fiddle, the more that you faff, the more you can get wrong, the more that your competitors land up with a bigger smile on their faces. They come past you with a fantastic wave out the window as you gifted the position or you lose time.
Yes, as we see, Renner has also decided now it's time to pit, so he's in for his final pit stop. But still, Daniel Rowe, Van Wyk, Bego Grobler, De Villiers still keeping at it. I don't think there can't be much fuel left in any of those
this thing
cars.
as far as they can. Well, that's what we're seeing here. So
And this is where I
reckon
got to ask Doe,
two very
your
quick
thoughts on it.
dashes
You've been
right
very
towards the
quiet,
end,
analysing this race, analysing the drivers.
keep track position
What's
if
your
they
gut
can.
feel
I
like
think
this?
that's the idea here today.
Keep the car as light as possible.
Yeah. No use in changing that.
Now, if you also leave it that late, I assume neither one of those 4 from Daniel Rowe to De Villiers are going to change tires, because with 18 minutes left in the race, there's no use in changing tires now. So they are going to try and lose as little time as possible in the pits, and Daniel will try and get out before Cody Sherritt once he's made his 2 pit stops.
Last one, folks, and if you've ever been on the edge of your seats, I would say this is the moment, because final race of season 11 of the GT3 Championship Pro Division is all on the cards for every single one of these drivers. So, as I like to say, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pick your favorite driver, pick your favorite car, pick your favorite color, because this race is going to be an absolute sprint to the end.
Yet again, we're reaching that 15-minute mark and we're not able to call it.
It's been like this all season, and I got to say, that really shows the level of skill that we've got racing in the series. Not only in just the Pro Division, but also in your Pro-Am, your Gold, your Silver, your Am Division. The level of drivers' skill throughout them, and also for the guys to be able to keep so close to one another, it has been a tremendous season. I think every team, every driver, all the admins, everyone working in the background, to give themselves a massive pat on the back for this one, because 4 different categories or 4 different classes, all still filled to the brim with racing despite load shedding. And the guys are really putting in the effort to do it. They could have quite easily said, well, I'm not in the top 10, why keep fighting? But guys have stuck it out. So even if they're not in the top 10, example, Dujan Pillay, not in the top 10, started in last place, fighting as hard as he can, has now got himself into 8th place, really hammering it out there. Bego Krobler, he's working incredibly hard. He is in the top 10, but he's looking to try go for that first place and fight tooth and nail until that checkered flag comes out for the final time for the GT3 Championship here at Raceface. And wow, this has been a proper championship.
Yeah, as we see, Daniel has made his first pit stop and he's running in 5th position in front of Cody Sherritt. So, that's the part where we want to see. So we assume that Van Wyk, Krobler, De Villiers, Van der Merwe Van der Merwe has actually done his first pit stop. Sorry, but the rest of them will filter back behind, Daniel Rowe. Top go for Van Wyk.
Honestly, at least someone's gone and done something to say thank you very much. And hats off to. I know all the teams have been saying thank you very much, but De Villiers going that extra little bit of a mile to have a bit of fun there. I saw one of the drivers also having a drive-through penalty or a stop-go 30 seconds for track limits. But this really shows the community appreciative of where they can race. It doesn't matter, whether it's Raceface or any other different series that they go to here in South Africa, any South African leagues. The guys are willing to put in that extra bit of work and also say thank you to everyone setting up, because running a league is not an easy thing to do. If you choose to run a league, there is so much background work that's done. Setting up races, making sure your rules are okay, making sure that you've got broadcasting, if you can include broadcasting, stewards, and setting up the cars, dealing with complaints, compliments, suggestions. Just so much goes into it that it's nice to see moments like this where the drivers just say thank you very much. We appreciate to all the admins out there, to all the guys running leagues. Thanks for your hard work. And if it's not for those guys that really push the boundaries and creating leagues, well, otherwise we'll be doing online multiplayer every 30 minutes.
Round number
having some
12.
squeaker crash into you, possibly.
And we're seeing a familiar sight on screen. Daniel Rowe and Sherritt back at it.
Right. How's this one gonna go? This is gonna get either extremely fun or extremely dangerous, and both of them have to calm down. I know it's just over 12 minutes, but bigger picture here, guys, bigger picture. But Daniel Rowe knows this in mind. If Sherritt's on his tail, he doesn't get that championship. Sherritt will win the championship hands down. So Daniel Rowe has to shake Sherritt. Sherritt has to fall down the order as quick as possible. But at the same time, Daniel Rowe cannot afford to lose his position. Otherwise, he loses his chance of getting that first or second. He has to try and figure out where's this going to work for him. How is he going to climb up through the field? And the last thing you want to see behind you is a big PWSR saying, listen, we're first and second, and whether you like it or not, we're coming for that championship and really to stand on head. And I mean, what better way for Cody to get out of, and I'm going to say it, his family members' shadow of Jordan Sherritt. Cody has been stamping his name in sim racing to such an extent that I don't think you can compare him to Jordan Sherritt anymore. Cody has really put himself on a world-class level out there. Daniel Rowe has done very well. All these drivers have done it, but I think it would be an awesome thing for Cody to really slug it out for this championship, because he won't be just another Sherritt. He will be Cody Sherritt, the Cody Sherritt.
He's
not
making his
just
own
a Sherritt.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very difficult to do when you've got your family involved in racing. Whether it be your father, whether it be your brother, whether it be your sister, or whatever, cousins, you will get compared. And to make a name for yourself, the best way possible is by winning the championship.
Absolutely. De Villiers is kind of enjoying these, 15 minutes of fame in the GTR out there in front. I think it's the first time in a long while we've seen a GTR in first place, and I think he's thoroughly enjoying that at this stage. But
you can't go wrong with a Godzilla sometimes.
Godzilla. Find some fine Japanese engineering. But
that's it, eh?
Even though Van der Merwe is running second, he's already done his first pit stop. The main focus is on this championship battle, third and fourth place between Daniel Rowe and Cody Sherritt. Cody has dropped back a little bit. So, Steve, what do you think? Is he starting to realize we're nearing the end? He doesn't want to get into too much of a fight.
I think he's kind of knows where things are heading. He knows where the slugfest is going to end up, and he knows that if he stays where he is right now, the championship is his. He can do whatever he feels like with it, and I think that's where the benefit's going to come in. He's going to have a little bit more give to enjoy, and let Daniel Rowe work himself out a little bit at this point. And it looks like Cody Sherritt is actually opting to drop a little bit further back and give his teammate a bit of a tow. Kieran Patterson is behind, and Kieran Patterson needs to get into that top 10. So, listen, mate, I know you're busy, but mind giving me a little bit of a push to try and close down on the likes of Dean Kabasa and Mayer up ahead?
Yeah, maybe a bit of teamwork creeping in, and as you said, I think Cody is starting to play it a bit safe with 9 minutes to go now. He would be aware of what the championship standings are at this stage, and why risk it? Why risk it getting into a battle with Daniel Rowe if you can just keep it on the track and the championship is yours.
Well, that's it, and just a little bit of give back. That's what's it? What's it? Foundation. Give a star foundation or something to your teammates of, charitable cause of I will give you a tow, my friend. It's just all in the name of charity there. As much as it's not something you want to hear.
Not a badge.
It's a charity award of, listen, I'll give you a bit more of a tow and you go. I'm charitably giving you some room. And that's what Cody's done. He's gave his mate a bit of a slingshot to try and duke it out, and Cody's just getting a little bit more settled. Remember, he's still got one pit stop to do, Daniel Rowe as well, so he does have a little bit of room to play with, but not a lot.
I think Patterson has passed him.
Yep, Patterson way past. He went and had a slingshot of note, and what better way to get past a straight line with an extra 4 kilometers underneath you heading into turn 1, and having to use those brakes a little bit harder than planned.
Yeah, but now, Kieran is... I don't think Daniel Rowe is going to let Kieran pass that easily.
No. There's no Make-A-Wish Foundation here for Daniel Rowe. That's for certain. You're a lap down. I am currently in second. I am fighting for my championship. You are a teammate of my championship rival. I am not going to let you get past me just so easily and compromise myself. If the guy is faster, sure, give him a little bit of room, but you play a dangerous game knowing that the two teammates are so close to one another, and maybe that is Sherritt's goal of saying, listen, send Kieran Patterson, who's on a hard charge to try and climb, to give Daniel Rowe a little bit of a rough time, or open the door enough that I can come by. So that's another way of looking at it, not only of trying to do a different thing. It can be a bit more of a smarter maneuver into this, put enough pressure onto your guy and get going. But as everyone dives into the pits, Daniel Rowe heading into the pits, Sherritt up into third place, Van der Merwe, who's just ahead of Daniel Rowe, is creeping forward in 50 kilometers an hour. Oh my heavens, this is death on a whole new level, because it's just slow and creeping. You know, sometimes pit lane feels, like it's a lot slower than cancer.
That's where I tend to do a bit of sightseeing. I have a look at the crowd, and how many times have me and you, Steve, done races where I've said to you, "Hey, have you seen that guy standing there in the pit lane?" Or he looks confused. Or so, but it's very easy also to get distracted then and miss that pit box, as I have done before.
You start having more time to look at your relative and everything. Unfortunately, that can hurt you quite a bit. Now, remember, Van der Merwe is ahead of Daniel Rowe for position. So Daniel Rowe's not going to get an easy run out of this. Bego Grobler in second place still has to do his pit stop. Doing a really good job. Bego's been quite effective in his races. He's been really trying to climb that ladder as quick as possible. Not fighting for first, second, third, but is aiming to try and claw his way into that top 5 and hold it, and have a bit of a drive going into next season, and also putting on a great show for the Hybrid Academy team that have come out in force and also been doing well in performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I've said it a couple of times before in the race. The last race of the season is also a place where you can get some momentum going into not only the off season, but going into next season, as we see Sherrod in the pits now. Where will he filter out?
There you go, coming around Parabolica, so he's going to inherit that first place unless he dives into the pits. He's decided to go and get a 93. Oh, Sujin Pillay getting 30 seconds. Not going to help his race cause. But where is Daniel Rowe? And also looks like Justin Lotus coming into the pits. He's lying in 16th place. But where's Daniel Rowe and Van der Merwe to the likes of Grobler and Sherrod? Daniel Rowe coming around. Oh, no, pit window closed. That has got to hurt because Bego pulled in luckily in time. But if he didn't, and that pit window slammed closed, he wouldn't be able to have a counted pit stop. And that would have hurt him. So really ran it fine there. Super, super close. But managed to narrowly avoid it. But Cody Sherrod in first place. Bego up into, fifth place at this point. Now on a hard charge. Only 3 minutes left of the race. Now it's all or nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, time to take those gloves off. Time to undo the tape. Get ready for a slugfest because this is what's going to happen. Cody Sherrod and Daniel Rowe looking to duke it out. This is a proper hard fight between the two. And man, you've got to look at the championship here, guys. Look at the bigger picture. Please look at the bigger picture, not just the checkered flag. I am begging at this point. I'm on hands and knees.
I don't think they're hearing you.
Guys, please, play nice.
It's going to be a nail-biting last 2.5 minutes, maybe last 2 laps.
Both Daniel Rowe and Cody Sherrod, look at the bigger picture. Please, this will end badly. Can you hear me? Please.
Here we go.
Would you think now would be a bad time to phone them?
I think if a phone had to go off, it might go off like a wet fart. Not the most pleasant phone call, but side by side action between these two. Oh gosh, this is a fight. Just a bit of paint rubbing between the two, but no one giving an inch at this point. Side by side action, and this is going to turn into a hard battle. You can see no space between them. Cody Sherrod giving Daniel Rowe a proper run here. Who's going to give? Please, someone just give at this point. This is going to end as nightmare. Bit of rubbing there. Daniel Rowe just having it out, and Cody Sherrod just really fighting. But I think Daniel Rowe going and backing off ever so slightly here, thinking, okay, I'm just going to calm it down. and we are fighting for it. Sherritt dropping a wheel onto the dirt. That gives Daniel Rowe a bit of drive up onto him, heading into a Scari. You could see Sherritt holding that inside line, just not allowing anything. Daniel Rowe going on the outside. Sherritt going to the middle of the circuit, trying to force Daniel Rowe. Just leaning on each other there through a Scari and really putting in the work, bouncing on those curbs. I think both these drivers not giving an inch. But if one mistake happens between any of them, it can lower their points and allow others to start catching up. They need those positions. So, guys, this has always got me on end of what's going to happen. How's this going to work out? Van der Merwe up in first place is going to be happy. He's currently on his last lap, seeing these two slug it out behind him. He's going, I'll walk away with the points. Thank you very much. I won't mind this. I've had a good race here at Monza. Well, these two just keep each other busy. Yeah, he's going to walk away with the checkered flag, but Cody Sherritt trying to really stomp his dominance here, because it does, if he stays where he is, and I say if, because I'm not going to be a betting man here. If he stays where he is, he wins the championship. Daniel Rowe would have enough points to actually get by the likes of Kieran Patterson, who's sitting in 11th place. So can move him into second. Yeah, this is an opportunity for Daniel Rowe. So I think being a little bit more calm, just allowing this to happen, and I think that's what he's doing. He's given a little bit more room, not going to duke it out as much, but they weren't going to let it happen just so easily.
No, that was some proper fighting they had there. Couple of corners still to go, so anything can happen. But I think Daniel has dropped back a bit, and maybe self-preservation kicked in there.
Yeah, Daniel Rowe deciding that he's not gonna fight too hard right now. It's been a good race, and wants to go and park the car on the trailer with 4 tires still attached to it. But ladies and gentlemen, coming around the final corner, taking the checkered flag for the final race here at Raceface Gt3 G3 Championship Pro Split. Give it up for Van der Merwe, lights ablaze, and that's a PWSR car that looks a bit broken. And Cody Sherritt taking second place, Daniel Rowe lying in third place. And that's also going to give Bego Kropler the 5th place. Reina is going in 4th place, so well done to him. Now, Kieran unfortunately taking a knock right at the end, securing himself that 11th place, but not the way you wanted to end it. Is a busted up Audi, but
that was some really good racing towards
well
the end
done to Van der Merwe on a hard race. Sherritt had a fantastic one. I mean, this is for a final race of the season. It's incredible. A little bit of a I'll give you a push start. Don't stress, bud. I know your power's out. But that's it. That's it. But on your unofficial results, ladies and gentlemen, from our side, congratulations to the PWSR driver of Cody Sherritt taking Season 11 GT3 Championship. And what a season it has been. And honestly, he can be quite happy with that. I think on unofficial results, that has given second place to Daniel Rowe after such a slugfest, and also missing out on races. He managed to claw his way back up to the top, but also a well done to the PWSR team that has taken the team championship. And what a way to end off their season. And we've got one more season before the end of the year, ladies and gentlemen. So second last season of the year, well done. Unfortunately, a couple of retirements. Hannes van Wyk a little bit further down. Jason McGregor. We've also got the likes of Fenter, who didn't quite make the end, and Nkube in 20th, unfortunately not able to put in the laps. Really, but wow, what a race. And what a season. Honestly, what a season. I've got to ask you guys, Doe, I'm going to start with you. Your mind. I mean, this has been a proper season of GT3 racing here at Raceface.
real professionalism that comes through in the racing. I mean, as we saw there towards the end tonight. So well done to everybody that participates in this professional division. The competition here is really, really tough. So yeah, even the guys, for the guys that are going to watch the stream at the tomorrow, maybe, if you're at the bottom of this particular division, guys, you're probably still in the top 20 in the country. So well done to everybody that participated, and a big well done to Cody Sherritt on his season win, most likely there. So he'll be able to carry the number 1 in the next season. And let's see where it goes to from here. It was a pleasure also spending some time with you guys in the commentary box this season. Thanks, gentlemen.
And likewise. And Janneman, anything from your side on the season?
I mean, I'm actually speechless. I mean, but looking back at it, yet again tonight, 15 odd minutes to go, we were unable to call it. Who's gonna finish first, second, third? I mean, this whole season we've seen ding dong battles going back and forth, and very close racing, extremely, as Doe said, professional racing. I can't wait to see what next season brings. Maybe 1 or 2 new names in the pro division. The guys coming back and duking it out again. Daniel Rose, the Kieran Patterson, or Cody Sherritt, all the big names. I don't want to leave anybody out. But what's going to happen next season?
Yeah,
that's it. And
I can't wait for that.
Thanks to everybody that.
I can't wait until our narrator can finally close this book. I can't say a chapter. It's this book because we'll be moving on to the next one in our off season. But over to you, narrator.
Information relating to the next season. You're a viewer and you'd like to come and try your luck here at the Raceface with some Gt3 racing, you're welcome to join at any time. And like Janneman said, hopefully see some new names in the pro division next season, and let's mix things up again a bit. But I think thanks.
As the fairy tale closes with our championships, all just decided for all 4 classes. We'll see in the off-season that from our 3 goons that are in the birds list,
Thanks,
Stephen Price,
all right, everybody. Have a good evening.
We'll
speak to you guys
as they bid you adieu for the final time. For this season, we wish you all a good evening, a good night.